All right, welcome to this week's conversation for our security awareness community. This week, I'm really excited to speak with Uriel Kosayev, and we're going to be talking about phishing for real from the red team, from the attacker's point of view, and getting some tips and insights on creating phishing campaigns, what to consider, writing phishing emails, and anything you can think of. So, Uriel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Please, if you'll just introduce yourself and we'll just go from there.
Okay, so thank you very much for having me here, Ayelet. It's an amazing honor for me. So my name is Uriel Kosayev. I'm a Red Team tech leader in a company called AB InBev. It's basically the largest beer company in the world. I'm also the founder of Malware Analysis Co., website where I give lectures and courses about malware analysis, reverse engineering, and red teaming. Also the author of Antivirus Bypass Techniques, which is a book that shows you 10 different techniques about how to bypass an antivirus or EDR software, and also how to fix the gaps there. And yeah, I'm something like 10 years in this field, and I'm like it's a great passion and a great fun for me, for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to have you, and I know we've talked before a little bit. You had mentioned, doing phishing simulations, and before the call, even you were talking about how you've done a ton of the phishing simulations and running them, and for other companies, for your own. So let's just kind of jump into it. When you approach a phishing simulation for employees, what are some just top do's and don'ts that you encourage people to consider that they may not think of?
You asking from the attacker's perspective, or like the recommendations that I give for a company?
Let's talk from the attacker's perspective first, and then we can flip, then apply it.
Amazing. So for me as an attacker, when I'm doing the phishing simulation, it's like I can apply phishing simulation in two aspects. I can do a full-scale red team where sometimes there is a need for us as attackers, as a team, to simulate phishing, like to actually execute a phishing attack on the target or on some targets, while also bypassing security controls like mail gateways and even like understanding what is the endpoint protection that is in the end will be in the endpoint that will attack. Now, whenever the victim will click on the file or whatever it will be, and we can. The second thing that we can do is basically only a phishing simulation, like sending a lot of emails to the organization or to specific groups on the organization, and see how many of them fall into the trap, and based on this, even do a lecture and see how we can make the security posture and the awareness in this organization like better. Most of the times, like whenever we as attackers we do phishing simulations, we need to understand the organization, like not only the security controls they have, like if it's the mail gateway or the EDR or the firewalls or whatever, but also to understand the culture of this organization, to understand the people behind it and the people we are targeting. So it can be a spear phishing attack on a specific or whaling on high executive targets. It can be on IT administrators, and it can be like like sending the net and praying for someone to fall into the trap, basically.
Right. So how do you go about kind of analyzing the company and getting a feel for it, as an attacker? Like what are things you look at, as far as like open source intelligence and non-open source? What are some of the things you look at there to kind of get a quick view and quick read?
So amazing question. This is the first phase in any red team operation.
Okay.
The phase that we called reconnaissance. We are in this phase. Our goal is to gain as much as recon data on the targeted organization, and the things that we are go about the organization, like literally go and read about the organization, go to their website, understand the links they have there, like the culture, the people, the technologies they use. We go into their Wikipedia, if they have a Wikipedia page. We go to their LinkedIn pages, Facebook, and we try to understand like the psychology behind everything. It's basically start with, okay, how many employees do we have in this company? What type of employees? It's a technology based company, it's a pharmacy company, it's a beer company. What kind of technology they're using, how much aware they are, how many IT administrators they have in the organization that we can try to target. Because one of the highest value target that we can target is an IT administrator, because if we get into his computer or we compromise his user, we can basically most of the time compromise everything if there is no
Right.
security controls and segregation properly configured and implemented. And it's not like the hard it's not for us, it's not hard to get the data, because we have a lot of tools out there, automation stuff that we can do in Python and other stuff, and we can Google and use search engines like Shodan to see if there is open CCTV cameras and expose the vulnerable servers that we can somehow exploit, and maybe cross-reference to the same data that we got about the company, and somehow maybe use this information to, maybe I see that I use Shodan and I see that we have a server based on Nginx or Apache. It's a web server,
Okay.
and we have the details of the server. So now I can impersonate someone in the company, maybe even spoof his email and say to that IT administrator, hey man, or to someone else, I need access to the server. And based on this information that I got from Shodan, I can maybe try to validate, to give him more reason to trust me. Okay,
Right.
so it's not about getting the data; it's about understanding the data that you have. I call it swimming in the data, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, how long does it take to compile this kind of information to really get to a point where you can create a convincing fish?
Amazing question. It's very dependent on the size of the organization and on the
Okay,
scope
right.
that you get. Like I'm talking about red teaming, and I also talking about scope. Uh, a lot of people think that red team, there's basically two flavors of red teaming. There is a full scale red team that you go from zero to hero, from nothing that you have to gaining a shell or getting an access to some sensitive data or server or whatever. And there is another flavor of red teaming that is called adversary simulation, which you take a specific adversary and based on his tactics, techniques, procedures, or what's called TTPs and behaviors and tools, you go and simulate the attack. So if there is attacker that their profile is like targeting, for example, Office 365, and they're
Hmm.
not targeting Google Drive or Gmail, because Gmail is like considered to be highly secured, and we are
Okay.
simulating a specific adversary or specific attack group, we will go and target only the Office 365 on the organization. So the scope will be tightened up, will be more specific. But if
Okay.
it's full scale rating, we'll go for everything basically.
Just any looking for any holes. And so
Yeah,
that can take, so that would probably take longer than if you're looking for, you're doing such a broad search of
for
all the
sure,
kind of openings.
for sure.
And so, what about like when it comes to crafting the emails, does that take a particular, I don't know, approach? Obviously you want to look as real as possible, but if you're phishing someone like spear phishing, right, and you're trying to make it sound like you're a more top exec, um, like how do you try to create it convincingly? Is that something that you kind of stalk them for a while online and see
For
kind of the
sure.
language they use,
For sure.
or
Sure. This is the answer. Basically, the key ingredient on like crafting an email, a sound convincing email, when you're targeting someone, whether it's whaling or spear phishing, it's like understand their psychology, how they're acting in social media, how they're replying and commenting on stuff, what are the tone of their their chat or their posts they're posting, and if it's even needed, maybe even to copy the signature of the person from not from his email. Maybe I can send an email to sales, and
Mhm.
they're very hungry for basically to do sales, to like
Right. They'll talk to anybody.
yeah, they'll send me a reply email and I'll get the signature from them, and I'll change this signature with the name that I will impersonate
Right.
someone. And this is lot of time, most of the time, this is what I'm doing or my team is doing. um, like really give the email the real tone, or something that is very like sounds like or feels like this guy that we're impersonating,
Hmm.
and not something that's very generic. And this is only one of the aspects when crafting the email. The second aspect that we need to consider as attackers is like, okay, it's fine that we're crafting a sound like email, but what what is the craft or what is the tools that you're using in the email itself? Like you're attaching a link, you maybe putting a phone number that
Hmm.
uh, you want him to call you, and someone will try to convince him to do something in his computer. Maybe
Oh,
you
okay.
want to maybe you want to like attach some file like a Word document or a PDF document, which will basically will be executed on his computer, and download the next stage of the malware or whatever.
Hmm.
And this is exactly the second aspect that we need to check as red team, which is like, okay, what like if my mail will be detected by the mail gateway or by the EDR or the
Hmm.
antivirus that we are of the person or the computer that we are targeting, it will be for vain. So we need to literally like test stuff before. We need to like create our lab, which simulates mostly this network or this mail gateway or this EDR or antivirus, and we need to make sure that it will be delivered and will be executed in the end.
Right. Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot of effort that
For
criminals
sure.
go through.
Yeah. Yeah,
But apparently it pays off because they keep doing it. Sadly, it's
it
lucrative.
works. It works.
Um, so okay, I had a question as you were talking and it totally went out the window. Um, so what about like when you're training, when you do training simulations, right? And what is kind of one of the aha moments that you see that maybe um, people don't think about presenting, right? What's like a new perspective or even a story maybe you've had of someone in the audience that goes, oh, really? Or, has kind of that aha moment that you find kind of common or not common.
It's like whenever I'm coming to a phishing simulation lecture or workshop, it's like people expecting like, here's the lecturer, he will say that it's no, and you need to be aware, and you need to check this link, you need to hover above the link, and all this regular
All the
stuff,
basics. Yeah.
very important stuff. But like it's like the same, it goes the same,
Right.
the same stuff, the same recommendation, the same. And it's like and it's a challenge for me as a lecturer to get the attention of my audience and to like give them this punch to the face and like get it.
Right.
Like, and I'm using a lot of screenshots and like videos and real world examples, which will make
Hmm.
them like, wow, it's like, what the hell. The first thing that my goal is basically to open the mind of my audience, like give them the reason why they need to listen and why they need to like give them the understanding that it's a real threat. Okay,
Right.
because a lot of people is like, it will not I'll be fine. I have
Right.
the awareness, I'm secure, I have my IT administrator, I have the mail gateway, I have the EDR, I will be fine. I'm not so stupid. But
Right.
even the most advanced technical persons can, even me, even I can fall with all the awareness and everything, if
Right.
the mail is crafted right. So the first thing is like getting the attention of the audience, and how I'm doing it with a lot of examples, real world examples. I show them in live or with videos. This is how I attack. This is how we do it. This is how it looks from the attacker's point of view. And then, and only then, I show them, okay, so now what you can do about it. Okay, what you can do
Hmm.
about it. And in the middle, I like to, a lot of times in the middle, I like show them that, okay, you clicked on a link and you redirect to some website, nothing happened. Most of the time it's expected to put something in the form, like the credit card or something like this. It's like nothing
Right.
happened. A lot of time, this nothing happened is basically an exploit kit, which exploits a vulnerability in the browser and silently injects code into your computer without you even knowing. And a
I was
lot of
just learning about that. It's
yeah,
very
a lot,
scary.
lot of people don't know about it. They think it will be some kind of link, a form, or maybe a file. Okay.
Right. As long as I don't do anything, if I'm just curious and I want to see where the link goes, I'll be okay if I don't input anything. Yeah,
Curiosity can be a good thing. Curiosity can be a devastation also.
that with the whole saying, curiosity killed the cat. Yeah, that happens more often than not, unfortunately.
For sure.
But that was a real eye opener for myself to realize and to learn.
And it's
Um,
not only that I'm like showing, okay, so you not fall for the trap. What is the next stage of the attack? Like how the malware is actually now executed in your computer, what type of information is gathered, what type of things is made on your computer. And then I show like pictures of keylogger, which takes the screenshots and your passwords and files and credit cards and everything from your computer. And this is where people actually get scared. Like it's not like I fall into the phishing and everything will be fine. You fall into the phishing, now
right,
you need to understand what will happen potentially. And it's very scary and very fast.
right,
Yeah.
right. And so, like, how obviously there's different ways, I guess, to mitigate. You always want someone to report when they realize they did do that. Oops, I clicked and I realized afterwards I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Um, are there any other kind of direction you give to employees, what steps they can do after the fact to at least minimize the damage?
Before I answer this question, I want to to emphasize something that is very important and lacking in a lot of organizations. It's uh, giving the comfort to employees
Mhm.
to listen to them whenever they attacked, whenever they clicked on something, and not to judge them. Because if
Right.
someone fall into the trap and you judge them, I can say two things. First, you're a jerk, okay, as a person, because it can be you could fall into the same trap.
Right.
And secondly, it will close the employees and they will not want to even talk about it. Will try to like they will fear. And
Right.
fear is not the key. And
Right.
it's even disgusts me. Okay, it's even disgusts me, and I see it in a lot of organizations. A big problem because if an employee cannot relate on his manager or on the organization that he's working on, the people there, it's a bad situation, and this is one of the biggest problems in the organization. So first of all, you need to create a culture or an environment where
Hmm.
employees feel comfortable. I know it's very hard. It's not
Right.
something that is very easy to do, but again, you have to, you have to, and you need to constantly give them these reasons, like why you need to trust me. Give them this
Right.
and back this with actions, not only with thoughts. Um, and also implement this as part of the people cycle in the organization. Whenever someone new or
Hmm.
a newcomer comes to the organization, you need to teach him this. You need to do a monthly talk about, or this is one of the organizations to do monthly, or even once in 2 months or 3 months, or maybe once half year, do some phishing a lecture or simulation or something like this. And like and always putting this in front, like you can trust us. If something happened to you, it's fine, it's okay, you can
Right.
trust us. This is the first thing. Now I can answer to your question, is like what employees can do. Always like like check for the regular stuff, like who sent you the email. Okay, if the email is not from the same organization that you're working, it's something external, be more cautious. Okay, hover over the links, check if
Hmm.
the link itself and the displayed in the bottom of the email, and like the text itself corresponding to each other.
Right.
uh, always be aware and cautious whenever you have files attached, like Word documents and PDFs. Okay, a lot of people don't know even that Word file or Excel file or even PDF can execute JavaScript or macros or
Ah,
VBA,
okay.
like literally on your computer. A Word
Wow.
document, it's a full-fledged malware that can do anything on your computer. It can execute PowerShell and download on other files and can do anything. Like it's like why even Microsoft gave this feature, like this this ability of executing stuff from a Word document. I don't know. Okay, but
Wow.
they have their own reason. But if you're not like you don't trust this email, or you have some suspicious, talk to talk to someone, like to your IT admin, or maybe to your security personnel, or to your
Hmm.
CEO, to your manager. Even if your manager is saying like, it looks fine,
Right.
or maybe, so ask yourself the question: is the manager is a security guy? He understands security? And even if he understands security, like, try to question his answer, like, based on what you say it's fine. It's like,
Right.
did you check the link? You troll the file into a sandbox, virtual machine? You research the malware, the email. You check the email headers. It got through the SOC maybe? So all these questions are very important. Like, I don't really expect from any employee to go and answer those questions, but I expect at least for the employee to go to a security personnel or to a SOC member, or like, can you please check it for me?
Right.
And even if we fall into the trap, it will have something. Maybe he got. We had one problem. It's like when one phishing simulation, when we sent an email, and it was really suspicious for the employee, and his manager in the SOC told him, it's fine. He clicked, we got in, and it's like,
Oh
uh,
no. So the manager gets to talk to also.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
it
very.
goes back to that anybody can, it can happen to anybody. Oh, there's so many things to keep on your toes. It really, it can be overwhelming, especially as a non-tech person,
Yeah.
to kind of go, what's the point? Why even try? Right. They're just like, I can't even, I'm swimming upstream,
Why even
but
try? Why even try? Why even trying to lock your door in your home? Why even try if anyone
right.
can hack through my home? It's like,
Yeah.
it's more about the psychology and less about security, I think, because all of us know that when an attacker wants to get into your organization, he will get into your organization. That's it, period. And if
Right.
someone else tells you otherwise, he's a fake and he's a liar. This is what I
Yeah.
have to say. And I'm saying
You
this
know,
based on a lot of experience in the defense and also in the offense side. So
right.
the point is, in security, is to buy as much time as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting point.
Don't do
You're
that
just,
attack.
you're trying to strengthen, lengthen the time between getting breached. uh, make it as long as possible. We have, back where I come from in Texas, we have, locks on the door or just to keep the honest people honest, because if someone wants to get in, they'll get in. Sadly. But
Definitely.
yeah. So do you have any a story that you like to open with when you do your phishing trainings that really gets people's attention, or does it kind of just vary depending on your audience?
It's really depending on the audience.
Yeah.
But a lot of time when I'm like, I want to get the attention of the audience. Let me even maybe share this part
Yeah,
in the
please.
presentation. Let me try it here. Share screen, and here we go. Confirm if you can see my screen.
It's coming up. One sec. I got it. There we
So
go.
basically, this is the presentation. I will not go through the presentation, but generally, I'm talking about, first of all, who is a hacker, like literally, who is a hacker? Because a lot of time people think that a hacker is someone with this hoodie and this gloves and wants everything with
Right.
green and stuff like this. It's not this, okay? It's like a regular day-to-day person that thinks differently, out of the box, and knows technical stuff. Okay, knows how to apply them and exploit them if he's a bad guy, or to fix them if he's a good guy. And one of the things that I like to like open up is like, okay, first of all, everything is open. Like most of the things in the world, a lot of vulnerable
Oh,
servers and
wow.
cameras and just everything is open to the wild. And I like to show this picture. This is a CCTV live camera where a show. It was one of my lectures. Basically, it was like very. I did everything in live, and I
Hmm.
got this camera, and basically everyone's like, "What the hell?" Is like, yeah, it's a real time live camera on a kindergarten where you can see the kindergarten teacher like puts the clothes on the children, and the parents come to like take the
Wow.
kids. And I even took this domain here and I got to the exact location of this kindergarten, like through
Wow.
Googling it, through do like a reverse geolocation. And I
Uh-huh.
got the exact location. It was like it was like Australia or Denmark or something like this. I don't really remember, but it was like, man, it's like, and this is the point where I get the audience attention. And
Yeah.
basically from here I go and show them how a phishing attack, like a very lame phishing attack, even look like, and I show them like
Hmm.
how I can like, even if you have a multi-factor authentication
Right.
or like a strong password, if I'm inside your computer, I can basically steal your cookies from your browser and
Right.
basically put them in my own browser, my attacker browser, and I'll be logged into the account.
Just like you. Right.
Yeah.
That's
and
wild.
not and after I'm in your computer, not only that, I can run malware, exfiltrate data, get everything from your computer, basically get screenshots.
So you really walk them through, because
Yeah,
from a lot of the phishing simulations that I've kind of seen or heard, they're pretty surface level. But this looks like you kind of really take them to
yeah,
like the worst it could get.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. It's like one of my clients said like, he's a CISO in a big company. He said like, I had like maybe 100 of phishing awareness sessions, and you're the only in the first that actually got me kicked in the face, like in a
Wow.
good sense. Yeah, like you really show the real world stuff, like
Right.
how attack is executed, what happens in your computer in an attack, and how to actually be defended from it. It's like I'm
Right.
showing you everything in practical and real manner.
Right. Wow.
This is the key ingredient. This is the key ingredient.
Yeah. Um, I think that definitely would wake up eyes. And I think some of the challenge, though, is there's a big push right now for not using FUD, right? And fear, uncertainty, doubt. Don't scare the people. But there is like a certain level that we need to kind of be scared just enough. Like you said, the CEO, like he wasn't convinced,
Yeah, sure.
right? Of just because we don't know. We regular tech people, we don't understand the whole thing about cookies. We always just say yes, take whatever, and leave the whole agree to the tracking, and that's like the extent that we understand. We don't know how far that can be used and turned against us,
Yeah.
exactly as you show. And so I think there's a level of that does need to be, because that's just part of the education, right? Of
Hmm.
knowing, oh no, these are the risks, they do go this far. But as long as you come back around and say, and this is what you can do to prevent, as long as we can always give some positive actions, so people don't feel completely desperate and there's no hope.
For sure. This is the word that you said in between the words that you used now is like knowing. Knowing
Mhm.
is if you go into Torah and Kabbalah, and knowing is the act of not only understanding something in an academic level, but
Uh-huh.
to go and literally experience this. So
Ah,
what I'm doing, I'm providing the real experience of stuff. When
right.
people experience something, and it's like it will be in their veins, it will be in their bodies, it will be in their mind, in their souls, and it will stay there. It will stay
Right.
there. And one of my key ingredients also is to use humor. I like to do humor stuff
Yeah.
in my because this is me, and practically speaking, it works. When you
You're
do
right.
stuff,
It
when you
is.
do when you're standing as a lecturer and you're presenting stuff and you do it with who you are, and you do it in the way you're believing in,
Mm-hmm.
everyone will get it. And in one of the companies that I did this phishing simulation, after the lecture itself, the same people that were in my lecture, the same people, it was something like 2,000 employees, like
Uh-huh.
for all around the world. All of those, like most of them, like 90% of those 2,000 specific people who were in my lecture, didn't fall in the next phases of the phishing simulation that did afterwards. So
Wow.
it's working. Yeah.
Right. That's impressive. Right. Well, we're right at time. If I could get just three main takeaways you would encourage security awareness managers who are, in charge of running their phishing simulations or doing the trainings, what would be your top three recommendations for them to keep in mind?
I have a lot of recommendations, but I'll try to keep it like plain and simple for 3 points, three generic points, and from there try to like contemplate on them and try to
Okay.
think what you can take from those generic 3 points. What can I actually do to improve my security? Because again, if you want a recommendation, you can Google it. There's a lot of recommendations out there,
Yeah.
but the three generic recommendations that I can give is, first of all, for your organization, for your people, and for yourself as a manager also, is like, be aware and think before acting. Before you act, think. Don't do things like in like, okay, here's a link, I click it, here's a file, I'll download it. Like, who sent it, in what time, what is the purpose, like, of the email, etc. Implement security controls, of course. The human aspect is the most important thing, but you have security controls that you need to apply, but it's not like you implement like a security gateway, like a mail gateway or EDR, and the default
Uh-huh.
configuration and everything will be fine. No, you need to test them. So regularly test your security controls, test them. Use red
Right.
team, use penetration testers. Like, go and understand the policies and the security configurations on those security solutions. If it's whether it's a mail gateway and where it's EDR, antivirus, like, and try to reconfigure them better and in much more secure way. Use the vendor if you need. Use your security
Mm-hmm.
personnel to like make this better. It's not like you're putting something and it will defend you by default. You need to do
Right.
something about it. You need to like maintain it. Okay, this is a very strong point. And the third point that I want to like to tell is like, think like a hacker. What you will do to hack yourself? Think about it.
I think that's a big one, and I think that's a one we don't think of, right, as the regular user, especially.
Yeah,
Um, but I know as I've been learning myself in becoming more aware online, I do start thinking, wait a minute, what are they doing? What are they asking for? Why are they asking me this? So it does make a difference. It really does. It creates more awareness.
for
Well,
sure.
thank you so much, Uriel. I really appreciate you taking the time. I wish we could go on. I would love to hear one of your presentations sometime. So
Sure.
maybe I can grab one sometime and really get the in-depth experience. So thank you so much. And, people can connect with you on LinkedIn. Also check out the books that you have as resources. I think those are also on LinkedIn on your profile.
Thank
So,
you.
find him there and connect, and really appreciate, you sharing your information.
Thank you very much, Ayelet.
All right. All right. Take
Thank you very
care.
much. Appreciate it. Take care.